Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Salmon17. Man, it's been a while, hasn't it? Sorry, that I haven't uploaded for a while. I've been busy taking care of my dog. My puppy keeps waking me up every goddamn night, so if I look tired, if I yawn or I look really tired, that's because my dog is just pissing me off. Uh, So yeah, but she's a puppy. But overall, hopefully she does get better. Hopefully she will get better. Anyways, enough with that. My dog is now sleeping outside, taking a nap, and hopefully I will be able to do this video. Anyways, let's enough babbling. Let's talk about PS2 games that I never got the chance to play, and I'm gonna piss off a lot of people when I mention some of the titles I never got the chance to play on the PS2, because the reasons for that is because PS2 has so many goddamn games that I cannot even fathom or have the time to actually play them all, or have the money to actually get them, because nowadays a lot of retro games or even PS2 games, now PS2 is considered a retro console, a lot of PS2 games are really getting more and more expensive, and when in the country I live in, I only can buy used copies of the games, but because it's not like on Amazon or eBay where it says what kind of condition the disc is, sometimes I might end up with a really bad copy if I buy them on the store. We don't have brand new copies of PS2 games, unlike in places like Netherlands or any other countries that sell brand new PS2 and PS3 games at the store. So yeah, so I'm mostly basically trying to get PS2 games through places like Amazon or eBay or something like that. But anyways, like I said, I'm babbling too much, and let's talk about some of the games I never got the chance to play on the PS2. And the first game franchise I want to talk about is the Time Splitter series. And I never got the chance to play those games is because I never heard of Time Splitters. I never knew about the franchise, and I only found out about the franchise when I watched G-Man Live's review all three games, Time Splitters 1, Time Splitters 2, Time Splitters Future Perfect, which is basically the third game in the series. And since then, during the PS3 era, we never got a proper HD collection for the Time Splitters trilogy, and that really sucks because Time Splitters was originally a PS2 exclusive, since even though Xbox has Time Splitters 2 and Time Splitters Future Perfect, it doesn't have the original Time Splitters game that came out for the PS2. Time Splitters series, if I remember correctly, are made by the same developer team who did GoldenEye 64 on the N64 or Nintendo 64. So, will I ever get the chance to buy and play Time Splitter series? I think so, because they're not as expensive as compared to like Sly Cooper games, but hopefully I will get all three games and get the chance to play them. Another series I never got the chance to play is the Manhunt games. Now, Manhunt are published by Rockstar Studios. Remember when Rockstar made games that aren't just Grand Theft Auto 5, re-release another Grand Theft Auto 5, another Grand Theft Auto 5. Back then, Rockstar Games were experimenting and making other genres like besides Grand Theft Auto, like Bully, Manhunt, Midnight Club series, and also some games that are based off the movies, like The Warriors, for example, and etc. And Manhunt is a game series I never actually played because of all the controversies the game had, and I don't think the game was selling in my country because of how, offensive or violent the game is. And will I ever get the chance to play Manhunt games? I do not know. I do know that the PlayStation Network actually sells the very first Manhunt game, the PS2 version, on the PlayStation Network. So I might get that game on the PlayStation from the PlayStation 3, but whether or not it's the censored version, I do not know, because some Manhunt copies, especially in Europe, are censored, while the NTC versions of Manhunt are not censored to oblivion, because back then Americans were not pussy little Puritans or offended softies or something like that, unlike nowadays. And yeah, and I do not know if I will be able to play Manhunt games. I do not know. I might get Manhunt 1. I don't know about Manhunt 2, but overall, hopefully I will get those games in the near future. I do not know, so yeah. Another game I never got the chance to play on the PS2 is Simpsons Hit and Run. And I'm gonna piss off a lot of people because even though I grew up with The Simpsons, when it comes to movie or TV licensed games, a lot of them were not that great, and I had a lot of skepticism, especially when it comes towards like shows like The Simpsons or any other movie that I like or something like that, because a lot of movie licensed games are not that great, or TV licensed games, and basically, for those who don't know, Simpsons Hit and Run, Hit and Run is basically what if we took Grand Theft Auto and put in a lot of Simpsons stuff in the game, and you have basically the Simpsons version of Grand Theft Auto, and his Simpsons Hit and Run actually do here. It's a very good game. A lot of people played Simpsons Hit and Run because back then, even the old Grand Theft Auto games got a lot of controversy, and some parents did not buy Grand Theft Auto to their kids. My parents were not that. My dad bought me Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for me for the PS2, despite the fact that the game is not for kids, or I don't know, man. I guess I have also parents in a way, but overall, Simpsons Hit and Run is a game I never got the chance to play. Maybe someday in the future I might buy a copy of the game and play it, but overall I'm just we shall see how this will go, and I will be back. And PS2 games, another franchise I never got to play was the Fatal Frame games, and horror games for me are kind of hit and miss. Sometimes I love them, sometimes I love playing them. Like, for example, I love playing the Silent Hill games. I beat Silent Hill 1 and 2. I still have yet to beat Silent Hill 3 because of how scary the game is. And also, a lot of times I just don't play them because of how scary the games are. And it's kind of hard for me to get invested in horror games without... but basically, for those who don't know, I still live with my parents. It's kind of hard for me to do horror-related stuff in the middle of the night because PS2 and even PS3 consoles did not have like headsets to put on your head, and it's kind of hard to do. And since it's the middle of the night, everyone is asleep, and then everyone just barges into my room, get angry that I spent all night playing a horror game or whatnot. Like I said, I need to move out and find a place of my own, or maybe find somebody that appreciates my hobbies and that doesn't get pissy about me playing horror games in the middle of the night. But overall, Fatal Frame games is basically like it's like an exorcism game in a way. Basically, you play as different characters. They use like an exorcism kind of camera that you basically like click and you basically kill all the ghosts. But the horror aspect of the fact is that the ghosts are really hard to kill, and with the camera you need to like time it right to kill them or something like that, or take out a chunk of their health more. Because of that, the horror experience is kind of like the atmosphere is really good and stuff like that. I do hear Fatal Frame 2 is the best game in the series. Some people say maybe I should play those games on the emulator because the physical copies of those games are super expensive nowadays, and that is unfortunate because I feel like for older games, they should not be this goddamn expensive because some of us don't live in bigger countries and some of us still don't have jobs, for me example, that actually earn more enough money to buy these games. Will I play the Fatal Frame games? That depends whether or not I enjoy them. Like I said, I never played Fatal Frame. Never played the Fatal Frame trilogy. I do know the Fatal Frame series is continuing on. I'm not sure if they're made by the same developers or not, but overall, I don't know. We shall see. So let's continue on. Another game I never got the chance to play on PS2. Now this one is gonna piss off a lot of people. And I never played Shadow of the Colossus. Yep, you heard me right. I never played Shadow of the Colossus. I do know it's really popular. It's a really popular game, and they did release an HD port or HD collection for PS3 for both Eco and Shadow of the Colossus. I might get those games someday in the future, but I never got into these Japanese games. I do know Silent Hill and the old Silent Hill games and Resident Evil games are made by Japanese developers. But overall, I feel like Japanese games have never gotten into me. Like I was not a huge fan of the anime, even though I watched anime like Digimon, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that. But I always saw them as regular cartoons. Like I enjoy anime in a way, but overall, I'm not I'm not into this a huge fan of everyone is just oh, I know this anime, I know this anime or something like that. And a lot of animators or artists or whatever grew up with Nintendo consoles or whatnot, and everyone's just anime, Nintendo, and basically it's over and over again. And I didn't grow up with GameCube. I didn't grow up with Game Boy Advance or whatever. I grew up with mostly with the PlayStation consoles like the PS2, PS1, and Sega Genesis in a way. But overall, I'm not a huge Nintendo fan or even an Xbox fan. Even though I do own a Nintendo Switch, I barely play the console because I have more fun playing on the PS2 and the PS3 consoles because they have more fun games on those systems. But overall, that's just my own personal opinion. But Shadow of the Colossus, I might someday in the future buy a copy of the game and play it. I don't know if PewDiePie actually did a full playthrough of the game, but I haven't finished watching it. But overall, someday, hopefully someday I will experience Shadow of the Colossus on my own. What else I haven't played on PS2? Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 and Need for Speed the first Underground game. I played Underground 2, I played Most Fun, and I played Carbon but on PC. I might get a Need for Speed Carbon on a PS3 someday in the future because it's not a very expensive game and it's very cheap, but the previous Need for Speed games on the PS2 like Hot Pursuit 2 and Underground 1, I never played those games. I also grew up with the sequels like Underground 2 and Most Wanted, so I didn't even know those other two games existed. So will I play those games someday in the future? We shall see. What else I am playing on PS2? Oh yeah, the sequels of Sly Cooper. I actually, if you don't know, I put it in the community tab telling you that I've beat my very first Sly Cooper game. Now, I really have fun playing Sly Cooper, the TV's Raccoonus, but I never got the chance to play Sly 2 and 3. I did play Sly 2 in a way, but I played the demo of the game. For those who don't know, some games on the PS2 did came with demos, like for example Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal or Ratchet & Clank 3 does have as you guys can see, has you can play a demo of Sly 2 on the disc, which is awesome. For those who don't know, there were demo discs, and during the PS2 era. So Sly 2 and Sly 3, I never got the chance to play those games. I might someday in the future get the HD collection for the PS3, but Sly Cooper games are really expensive nowadays for whatever reason. And some people say because how rare those games are becoming, and people upping the prices for those games. Will I get the chance to play Sly 2 and 3? We shall see, and we shall see how that will go. And another game in the PS2 era I never got the chance to play was Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition or whatever. Midnight Club is a series I never got into. I didn't know it existed until years later. The very first Midnight Club game I actually ever played was... The very first Midnight Club I got the chance to play was Midnight Club Los Angeles on the PS3. This is basically the complete edition. Basically all the DLC stuff is inside, extra cars and whatnot. But I played the game... I'm not saying I do dislike the series, but overall I feel like the game's difficulty spike is kind of ridiculous. But and I hear Midnight Club 3 is the hardest game in the series. I do not know, but Midnight Club 3 I never got the chance to play on the PS2 because, like I said, I never heard of the series until like years later. And will I get the chance to play Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition? I don't know. We shall see. Another PS2 game I never got the chance to play. Man, there are so many PS2 games I never got the chance to play, and I can't. It's hard for me to remember them all, especially the most popular ones, or people who played the most of on the system. Silent Hill 4: The Room. I do have Silent Hill 2 and 3 because the HD collection for the PS3 is a complete disaster. But I never got the chance to play Silent Hill 4: The Room. Will I get the chance to play the game? I do not know. We shall see. Because, like I said, a lot of PS2 games have insane prices nowadays, and it's hard to play those games without worrying about wasting too much money. So, what other PS2 games I never got the chance to play? What are PS2 games? Gran Turismo 4 I never got the chance to play because I was not very into Gran Turismo games. I never heard of the series until until years later during the PS3 era when Gran Turismo 5 was all the people were talking about. I might get Gran Turismo 6 for the PS3. I do not know. We shall see. But overall, Gran Turismo is a series I never got into. My very first Gran Turismo game I ever got the chance to play, and I got that from the store, was Gran Turismo 3 Ace Pack on the PS2, and this is my very first Gran Turismo game I ever got the chance to play on the PlayStation era. Gran Turismo 4, will I get the chance to play those games? I do not know, but overall, will I ever get the chance to play that game? I do not know. I'm still trying to beat the Gran Turismo 3, especially the Gran Turismo mode, but the game is very grindy and time consuming, so we shall see. And also the stupid license tests, man, I hate those. I think a lot of Gran Turismo fans hate the license tests as much as I do. Another franchise I never got to play on the PS2 is the Ape Escape series, Ape Escape 2 and 3. Even though I saw a trailer for Ape Escape 2 on the PS2, for some dumb reason, I was not the smartest kid on the block due to my mental health issues. And I never went out of my way to get a copy of Ape Escape 2 or Ape Escape 3 on the system. And even to this day, I'm still mad about that because Ape Escape is a really fun series. Basically, it's a 3D platformer where you basically capture monkeys and use all different kinds of gadgets to collect them all. Like, gotta catch them all, like Pokemon in a way, but in a more intense, challenging way. What are series I never actually got the chance to play on the PS2? Like I said, there are so many PS2 games, I can't name them all, so I apologize. Metal Gear Solid. It doesn't count since I actually played Metal Gear Solid on the played Metal Gear Solid HD collection on the PS3. Since those are the same games on the PS2, but just with more 60 FPS and more better frame rate. Same goes for Jack and Daxter. Also, I got the HD collection for God of War as well. Devil May Cry as well. Tomb Raider as well. I'm trying to think what other PS2 games I never got the chance to play on the system. Like I said, there are so many PS2 games that it's ridiculous to remember them all or name them all. PS2. PS2. I tried to think, guys. I tried to think. It's hard to remember all the names for the PS2 games. I do hear the PS2 versions have a lot of good James Bond games. With Russia with Love, I actually played the living hell out of the demo of the game. I actually really had fun playing that game. I might someday in the future get that game on the PS2. The only James Bond game I officially played was the Quantum of Solace game on the PS2. And that game was straight up fucking garbage. I don't know. My dad is kind of like a James Bond fan, so he gave me a game of James Bond. But why didn't he give me like Russia with Love or it was, I think it was named Nightfire, which is an FPS version of FPS Bond game. But overall, I never got the chance to play those games. They were published by EA. Russia with Love was made by the same developers, and for those who are gonna be surprised, they are made by the same developers. I actually just found this out. With Russia with Love is a James Bond game made by the same dev team that did the original first two Dead Space games. I am not kidding. I feel like they actually said they made a lot of James Bond games on the PS2, and the fact that they made these two masterpieces is just crazy. The fact that they made these two masterpieces and they made Russia with Love, it's no wonder I had so much fun playing the living hell out of the demo of the game. Will I get the full version of the game? Like I said, I do not know because there's so many goddamn PS2 games and I barely have space left on the shelf, so I need a new shelf, man. With the shelves I have, it's not gonna be enough, especially when I'm that kind of person now who collects physical media for all their entertainment. And yeah, we shall see how things will go from there. I need to close the cabinet so I don't hit my head on it. But overall, yeah, what are the PS2 games I never got the chance to play? Like I said, there are so many PS2 games, like I can't remember them all if they are there. PS2 games. I don't know, man. Like, that's as far as I can remember because, like I said, PS2 is a system that has way too many games to remember them all. So, oh yeah, another franchise I never got to play is the Prince of Persia trilogy. Will I ever get the chance to play them? We shall see. I do not know. I do hear they released the HD collection for the PS3, but it's not that great, I heard. So it's better to play them on the PS2. Resident Evil Code Veronica X, I never got the chance to play that game because I prefer Silent Hill games over Resident Evil games, but it's not like I hate them, but it's just like, it's kind of, the Resident Evil games for me are kind of confusing because a lot of times they feel like a maze, especially the older titles. The only Resident Evil game I actually managed to beat was Resident Evil 4, but it's more like a linear game, like kind of like Dead Space in a way. It's a third-person shooter, and it's a lot of fun. I might actually play that game now when I think about it. Jack X is another game I never got to play. It's basically a Jack and Daxter racing game, and I heard it's a lot of fun. And yeah, those are a lot of PS2 games I never got the chance to play on the system. Like I said, will I ever get the chance to play those games? I do not know, because a lot of PS2 games nowadays are getting more and more expensive and harder to get, especially when it comes to horror titles and 3D platformers as well. And we shall see if I ever get the chance to play those games or get a copy of those games on the PS2. Like I said, I barely have space on my shelf, so I can't own them all, and yeah. But hopefully I will get those games and will be able to play those games on the system. Yeah, what PS2 games you haven't played? People haven't played. Some people saying I might use emulators, but unfortunately my laptop is not strong enough to run a PS2 emulator. So unfortunately, someday in the future, I might try to get a new laptop. I do not know, but laptops, computers are getting more and more expensive nowadays, especially computer parts, because everyone is just like money, 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 money. Everyone must be greedy and shit, and it's insane. So yeah. Hopefully, things will get better for me in the future, and those are the PS2 games I never got a chance to play. Let me know in the comments what PS2 games you guys haven't gotten the chance to play on the system, because like I said, there are so many PS2 games, I can't play them all. There's also the Tony Hawk games. I'm not very into like extreme sports, but I do hear the Tony Hawk Underground games are really good on the PS2. I might someday check them out as well. And yeah, that's about it. Like I said, let me know in the comments what PS2 games you people haven't gotten a chance to play, and what PS2 recommendations you can give me as well. I would love to read them and hear them. It'll be really interesting. I might check those games out someday in the future. And yeah. This is Asylum 117 signing off.